And welcome everybody to the first episode of the Put on Raiders podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Douglas, and as always, I am podcasting on the beautiful shores of the Pacific Ocean, beautiful day out here in Southern California. PORSBR. It's my Twitter handle. PORSBR is my Twitter handle. So as soon as it was just like super quiet and chill in Raider Nation, then we got the news that Jakobi Meyers has requested a trade. They have not come to any agreement on a new contract. He's in the last year of that contract and he wants to get paid. And I think that's something that's very interesting. I want to, every organization with the Raiders have had a situation where they've had like a mini crisis to deal with, whether it was Antonio Brown, whether it was Devontae Adams. Seems to be a lot with receivers, but you know, for Jakobi, I give him a lot of credit for keeping this close to the best. I think it was for him. He just for his negotiating part of it, they negotiated. They didn't get any. They didn't get any. Way. They didn't make any moves as far as this whole thing with the contract. So he, right after Terry McLaurin got signed, he just went out and just kind of released this news. And I think it makes sense for him. He knows his worth. He knows that on this team that the Raiders kind of are in a situation where they cannot go into the season. I don't believe they can. They could possibly do it. Figuratively, they could actually do it. I don't think they can go into the season with Besh, with Tucker, and Thornton as their three receivers and not have a veteran presence there. Like you're asking a whole lot for those guys to do that. No matter how much you felt, no matter how much you love Beck, Besh, or Thornton or Tucker, you need that. You need Jakobi Meyers, and his ability to do what he does. Sit down in zones, make all the right plays, be a consummate professional in the locker room. You need that. You need that badly. So to me, I don't know what the Raiders are going to do here. It's just an interesting situation because does Pete say, you know what, I don't want to pay this dude that. Let's just not do it. Let's go out there and get Amari for 1 year. Let's go get we can get Amari and Gabe Davis or whatever for that 1 year and see if we can see if we can do that. Those are been like the question is, do we pay Jakobi Meyers or do we have a combination of veteran receivers out there? And right now, at this point, they might as well wait till tomorrow and wait for the shoe to drop for everybody and see who gets cut. Is there a name out there that would be good enough for them to get through the season with? Because kind of clearly they want to go ahead with this group of young receivers. I'm sure Chip Kelly is going to have a conversation. If Chip says, "Hey, I really need this guy. I really have to have at least one veteran receiver." That's a big part of it. The head coach, Pete Carroll, that's a part of it as well, and then Spytech as well with the purse strings. You know, but in this situation for the Raiders, I think the question that I have is, you know, you know, what are you saving money for? Like if this was a situation where we're talking about the Bengals here, right? So the Bengals are in a situation where they paid the quarterback, they paid the two receivers. You see the financial pecking order to why Trey Hendrickson is not signed. You don't really see that with the Raiders. They paid your left tackle, got you. They paid Max Crosby, understand. And this is a situation where like your best receiver, your best wide receiver, we know what he doesn't, as good as Brock Bowers is and him as many targets as he's going to get. Like you really want to run this offense with him by himself with these three receivers. I mean, that's you're really pushing the envelope there. That's really tough. That's really tough to watch. If you really think you're gonna do, I mean, like, Amari Cooper's out there. I mean, Amari Cooper is not, somebody you can count on too in the run game as well. Where a guy like um Jakobi Meyers is a great blocker. And he does all the little things, and he's not a malcontent in the locker room as well. Will answer any questions, all those things like that. So this is just, again, it's just a fabulous, like, conundrum. I think a deal gets done because I think they don't really have options. But part of it is when we talk about money, it's always about the money. It's never not about the money, and it's not about the year. It's not really about the yearly money. I think it's about how much guaranteed money does he want, and we don't know how Jakobi Meyers sees himself. Does Jakobi Meyers see himself as good as Terry McLaurin? Does he see himself as good as Nico Collins, or um let see another name out there. I mean, DK Metcalf, or whoever you want to name. You know, we don't know that part of it. Like, how does he see himself as a in the pantheon of NFL receivers? That's a huge thing. That's a huge thing. But again, the question I always, I like to ask, and I asked it in a space today with a bunch of Raider fans. It's like, what are the Raiders saving money for? They haven't won anything. We're going on 41 years without a Super Bowl title, and now that signing Myers is going to take you over the top for the Super Bowl. I'm just saying, like, you got to build towards something. You got to have some veterans. I mean, you literally have to have some veteran presence on your teams. And can you, like? I mean, he is a good human being. You just had to cut somebody because you don't know what kind of human being he was, and Christian Wilkins. So it doesn't make a lot of sense for them to do what they're doing, and there's no reason why they can't just pay him, and then move on. Maybe this came a 1 year too early. Maybe they look at Jack Besh, as the guy who can take over for for him next year. So they really want to just get through this next year. Maybe they just say, we're going to call your bluff and then see if you don't show up for games. Like, are they going to call? They're going to call his bluff and see if he can see if they're going to see if they're going to see if they're going to call his bluff for games. Like, is he going to be a guy who doesn't show up for games over this contract? How far is Jakobi Meyers willing to take that? Take this whole thing? And how does Pete respond to a player doing this? Pete could just say, "Hey, you know what? He's right. Makes sense. Let's do this." Couple factors we don't know is, the one factor is, um, does he, like, as far as the money goes, how much money is he actually asking for? And how many years guarantee money, and like, and what do the Raiders want to do as far as um paying him, and what's their limit? Because there's a limit on everything. There is a cap. It's not like baseball, where we can just pay whoever. It'd be interesting to see what the Raiders do here. It'd be interesting to see what the Raiders do here. But how they handle a little bit of a crisis here will say a lot about the Raiders going forward with Spytek, with this head coach, with Pete Carroll. But the conversation is in that room is, hey, if he was out for the year, what would we do? What kind of compensation can we get for him? Do you want to pay a guy who's a wide receiver two, wide receiver one money? Like those are like really good. Those are really good conversations. That they have to have now, and we'll see if the Raiders get it done. We'll see if the Raiders get it done with with Jakobi Meyers because I like I said, it's a fascinating situation to see if they can get this done and see if they can do this the correct way. They kind of over a barrel here because the other veteran receivers, the veteran receivers are just not it. They can't replicate what he's doing, what he does for the Raiders. The shorthandedness, the locker room presence, the route running, all those little things that he does really helps the Raiders in a big way. And plus, when you consider the fact that he's played with a bunch of quarterbacks who are just been bottom of the barrel quarterbacks as well. So we'll see. All right, Raider Nation. We'll be talking about the cuts and everything like that coming up this week, and then get you prepared for the Raiders and the Patriots on September 7th. Talk to you next time. Peace.